Holy shit! We just watched Mekaku City Actors, Episode 1. It's the new show by Studio Shaft, directed by Akiyuki Shinbo. And I've been following this studio for like 7 years. I know a lot of their work. I don't know about you. By the way, this is Victor. This is my brother. We watched the show together. And I just kind of want to hear your impressions of Mekaku City Actors before I start talking about the history of Shaft and all this other bullshit.
It was a thing. It
thing.
happened. I enjoyed the characters and the dialogue most of the time, except for the parts where I completely drifted off and started thinking about other things.
Which was most of the episode.
I got very
for
distracted.
Me. So this is an extremely, if you know any of this studio's work, this is a very Shaft show. I mean, all their shows are very Shaft, but this one's like
Shaft.
You know, like, okay, their best known work is Madoka. Everyone's seen Madoka. Madoka is like the, well, I won't say it's the least Shaft show, because it's extremely Shaft, like, in terms of style. Like, visually, if you liked Madoka's visuals, you are going to enjoy the visuals of this show. You know, it's that thing. But story-wise, Madoka was, like, a lot more, like, it had a plot and structure and made sense as, like, a full story, whereas Shaft shows are usually just, like, aloof conversations that go forever.
Tedious. I consider them
right.
very tedious.
Well, like, because the thing about, like, to me, the premier Shaft show is Bakemonogatari and the whole Monogatari series. They are exactly what Shaft shows are like, but done as well as they can be, because they're based on novels that are about conversation. The whole structure of the Bakemonogatari series is that people have really long-winded, weird conversations. And so when Shinbo adapts them, and, like, the whole reason that Bakemonogatari got adapted into anime, because the author was like, that can't possibly be done, and then he talked to Shinbo, and Shinbo explained to him how he would do it, and he was like, okay, that makes perfect sense. Like, this guy knows how to do this, you know? And this show feels like Bakemonogatari, but it's not that level of dialogue, you know, where Bakemonogatari, all the dialogue is, like, constantly layered with puns and clever double entendres and all this other shit. And this show is more just casual, long-ass conversations, and the camera trying to do everything in its power to keep you interested in a situation that takes place in one room for 10 minutes. You know, like, the first 10 minutes of the episode is this guy is sitting in front of his computer talking to this AI girl who lives inside his computer. And it's like that for minutes on end, but the camera's doing all this weird shit, showing you all these angles where it'll be like the whole room's one color, and then you close up of his eyeball, and then head tilt, and you know, all the weird shit that Shaft does, because that's what they do.
They have a formula for making boring conversations interesting.
Well, because in the way it developed, if you follow their career early on, Shaft shows never had any budget. They were always just like. And here's the thing, this show, the first episode looked really nice, but Shaft is also known for blowing all their money on the first episode. I don't know that they did that here, though, because there was nothing that was, like, so ridiculous in the animation that you go, oh my god, they don't have any money for the rest of the show. But they were known for doing that. Like, on Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei, like, especially Season 2 of Zetsubo Sensei was, like, infamous because the first episode is, like, constant, high-quality animation all the way through, and the entire rest of the season, it's, like, still images. The first show that Shinbo did with Shaft, Tsukiyomi Moon Phase, like, infamously had one episode where nothing was animated. It was all still images the whole time, like vaguely moving. I think maybe some mouths moving here and there, and that was it. So this show could go either way. First episode looks really nice. They've had a much huger budget because Bakemonogatari and Madoka Magica were both huge successes. They've been milking the Monogatari series for all it's worth. It's on, like, its 3rd season starting this anime season. And Madoka, you know, sold like crazy. They just made the 2 Madoka movies. And so, yeah, Shaft has some money now. Maybe Mekaku City Actors is going to look pretty good the whole way through. They're definitely using the stylistic tricks that they used to use. Like, the whole reason their shows are so stylish is because it's budget management. It's like, we don't have the animation to make things look pretty, so, like, in terms of, like, the animation, so let's just make everything look really stylized. And this show definitely does that to keep you invested in guy talking at his computer. What do you think of the characters?
I like them. The girl was fun. They seemed like they're these sort of, we've seen these characters before, they've been done,
right,
but they weren't done in an obnoxious way where I was like, annoying girl who's
the girl was acceptable. I didn't like her voice, but I
like her voice.
I don't think it's that I hated her voice. It's that she talks it's almost all her talking for 10 minutes. And her voice is very shrill, and she talks in like that highs and lows way. And when I hear that for 10 minutes, I had to turn the volume down because it was starting to give me a headache listening to her talk that way for that long. But and the guy just sounded like every anime protagonist ever. He's a hikikomori, which means he's a shut-in, which
I thought it was alright that he was a hikikomori, but he wasn't like a huge bitch about it. Like he had to go outside and he didn't. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna die," but then he wasn't like,
he goes out
I'm terrified of everything, and I just run back inside. It was like,
I mean, not to say that kind of character is bad, but it's been done before. So yeah, they definitely feel like old character archetypes that don't feel stale, which is good. But the actual dialogue was like just mind-numbing. Like none of it was anything. It wasn't like jokes. So there's like a couple chuckle moments. Where there's like a bad pun here and there. When his password is like a series of numbers, and in Japanese it was like shigoto janai or something like that, or shigoto nai. Basically means I have no job or I don't work, and it was like, but those words are numbers. Like the number 7 is like shichi or whatever, so it'd be 7. It would be she, or 4 rather is she. Anyway, it's the numbers spell out the word. Shigoto nai, like I don't work. So I thought that was clever, and there's a few lines like that, but then like so much of it is just inane dialogue back and forth, and it goes on forever. And they're in the mall, and we both had a moment where like I looked at him and I was like, do you know what the fuck they're talking about anymore? And he's like, I have no idea. And the first like 2 minutes of the episode are just like trippy visuals and nonsense dialogue that was like,
and Vocaloids standing around looking cool.
Right, all the characters look like Vocaloids. The main girl looks exactly like Hatsune Miku, and then in the opening there was a guy who looked like Kagemine Ren.
I wonder if they like hired the guy who designed the Vocaloids.
No, because he did Steins Gate, so that's what that would look like. So
that's true.
It looks nothing like Steins Gate. The character designs are great though. And, I mean, it could be him for all I know. Fuck, I didn't look it up, but the character designs look really nice in the show. I don't know. I wasn't like big on the girl. Like I thought she looked good as a design, but like the over huge baggy sleeves on her shirt were kind of ridiculous.
Adorable.
See, this is the difference between our opinions. Is that just that you obviously find the girl adorable, and that like obviously
probably
helps your opinion a lot.
I was like, oh, adorable.
But it's cracking me up that you look shorter than me just because your chair is low. You've got your chair at the minimum height, and mine's at like maximum. Overall, plot-wise and dialogue-wise, I don't think either of us had any idea what was going on.
Yes. Well, he went to the mall, and then people...
It looked very pretty.
People hijacked the mall, and then he was like, I am all of a sudden... My hair is telling me that I am the main character, and that I have to do something about this. And then he said some very protagonist things.
Right.
He was like, I'm gonna make you go to jail.
Going, my main character hair is causing me to stand up for people.
Yes.
It was
it's the truth.
Yeah, it did feel that way. And then there was like after the credits, there's like a weird segment where it's like some nonsensical, like metaphorical story being told by a little girl voice, and it looked like the weirder scenes in Madoka a little bit.
Confused and enraged me.
The whole thing is very pretty to look at, but I can't tell you a single thing that happened. Like in terms like other than like the literal he went to the mall. To buy a keyboard.
That's all that happened.
And then it was hijacked by people, and they were holding the people ransom, and then they took them out rather easily. They just kind of stood around for like 10 minutes talking, and then he just kind of takes them out.
Hey man,
what did they do though? We don't even know. We don't know how those guys caused all the monitors to fall on the bad guys. So far, there's like clearly hints of things that are going to matter, and we just don't know what they are yet. Like,
I just hope the entire plot is about him going to get the keyboard and he never gets it. Like the entire thing is him outside in the mall trying to get his keyboard. That would be awesome.
Did he not get it by the end of the episode?
No, he was on the fucking ground laying there.
Oh, that's right. He passed out.
He just passes out at the end. You're like, oh.
There was a girl with green hair who had a fucking awesome voice that made me want to, like, I was like, ooh. And then there was the girl with the scarf, and she's cute. She had a cool scarf.
Yeah.
I like the scarf. Basically, we're saying this episode is very visually impressive, and we will probably watch another episode just on the basis of how good it looks and the fact that I've been watching Shaft shows forever, and I might as well continue. This could go either way. I mean, I've almost never finished a Shaft show, is the funny thing about it. Like, I'll watch their shows for a few episodes, and then usually it's just so obtuse and hard to keep up with that you're like, okay, I've seen enough, you know. So who knows? Maybe check it out. I mean, I'd recommend it. Just if you happen to if you want to see something visually interesting and you think it's cool that a guy sits around and talks to a girl inside his computer, and you want to see great character designs, maybe you'll find it funnier, or maybe you'll connect with it more. But
you'll be like, this is my life. This is what I do.
That about wraps it up.
Yes.
Anthony Fantano, Mekaku City Actors, forever.